On a mysterious night where everything seemed calm, the family sat in the living room enjoying watching television. Suddenly, the device displayed strange static and then turned off by itself. The mother looked at her husband in concern while the father tried to restart the device, to no avail. No one knew that this moment would be the beginning of terrifying events that would change their lives forever. The house they had recently moved into seemed perfect from the outside, but it hid frightening secrets within its walls. At first, the incidents were just minor oddities, objects moving on their own, strange noises at night, doors opening and closing by themselves. But as days passed, things worsened and became even more terrifying. The children were the most affected by these events. Their youngest daughter, Carol Ann, began talking to invisible entities. Sometimes she would laugh and converse as if someone were in the room with her. One night, while the family was asleep, the mother awoke to the sound of her daughter whispering softly. When she entered the room, she found her sitting in front of the television, staring at the screen filled with static. Carol Ann then turned to her mother and said in a calm voice, "They're here." From that moment on, events escalated rapidly. Objects flew through the air without explanation, walls trembled, and whispers filled the house. The father attempted to contact paranormal experts, who soon arrived to investigate. They discovered that the house had been built over an ancient cemetery and that restless spirits were trapped within it. As the disturbances became more violent, the family started experiencing chilling apparitions. Shadowy figures roamed the halls at night, and an eerie, oppressive presence loomed over them constantly. The once peaceful home had become a waking nightmare, with unseen forces tormenting them at every turn. They tried to ignore it at first, but the spirits grew more aggressive. The furniture would levitate and crash violently. Mysterious handprints appeared on the walls, and cold spots formed even in the warmest areas of the house. One particularly terrifying night, the mother was dragged across the room by an invisible force, while the father watched in horror, unable to stop it. The walls trembled as guttural voices echoed through the halls, calling their names in a chilling, otherworldly whisper. Desperate and frightened, the family decided to seek help beyond traditional means. But things did not stop there. One night, Carol Ann suddenly vanished without a trace. The family searched frantically, but she was nowhere to be found. Hours later, they heard her voice coming from inside the television. She was crying and calling for her mother. The family realized they needed real help, so they called in a spiritual medium named Tangina, who told them that an evil entity was holding their daughter in another dimension. The medium performed special rituals to free the child, opening a dark portal in the bedroom that pulled everything in with terrifying force. The mother led a perilous journey into this dark dimension and, at the last moment, managed to grab her daughter and pull her back into the real world. But she was not alone in that realm. Shadowy figures surrounded her, trying to pull her back into the darkness. With every ounce of strength she had left, she fought against the unseen forces, gripping her daughter tightly as they were yanked back into the light. The portal closed, and everyone thought the nightmare was over. But that night, as the family prepared to leave the house forever, something horrifying happened. The ground burst open. Decayed hands emerged from beneath. The walls cracked, and screams filled the air. Everyone rushed outside, but the house itself seemed to come alive, shaking violently as if it were trying to keep them trapped. As they ran, their car refused to start, and the sky above turned an unnatural shade of red. Just when it seemed like they were doomed, the house suddenly imploded into itself, disappearing as though it had never existed. They finally escaped, but the horrors they endured would haunt them forever. As they checked into a hotel that night, exhaustion overtaking them, the father sat on the edge of the bed, his hands trembling. He turned to his wife and asked, "Has it truly ended? Or is the terror still chasing us?"